I am Marc-Andre. I'm the Ed Automation nerd here at Enable. My role consists to help partners just like you with anything I can with regards to efficiency, best practice, things like that. So if you have any questions for me, please put them in there. You also see on the right side my Twitter and LinkedIn handle. I don't know why the Facebook is there. That's not correct, but whatever. If you have any questions for me, please reach out to me on one of those. You can also try to email me, carrier pigeon, whatever you can find a way to reach me with, and I'll do my best as possible with help. A reminder that the Success Center is your one-stop shop to get help. It's always a good thing to remember. You can open support cases, go into the forum and ask for help, use the MSP Institute, or go to the Ideas Forum as well to submit ideas to the community and the product management team. So just don't forget to use that. We also have the cookbook in there. I'll show you that in a second. So for those of you that don't know what the office hours are, if it's your first one, they are a topical Q&A. This one is about RMM, everything RMM. The purpose here is to build a community. We saw 5+ years ago, everybody was out for their own. Nobody was sharing anything. It was very tough to build a community around RMM and Central, whichever platform you use. We're starting to see that community drive come more and more present. So that is part of what we're trying to do here. We want to also help you grow your business. The more the community grows, the more the MSPs grow, the more we grow, right? It's a very symbiotic relationship. If the community as a whole grow, you guys will need more devices, more features. We'll build that, and then everybody wins. So that's pretty simple stuff. It's a good forum for us to get feedback on what we can do better, what we can help with, and things like that. Just a reminder about all the resources. Again, they're all mostly in the Success Center, but that's fine. Also, I changed them to Enable, but that's my bad. So just don't forget to look at those. I'm not gonna go through every script in the last month. Usually I do. We used to average about 10 scripts a month. These days, we went through a solid 46 scripts. So there's 46 new scripts in the cookbook. There's 10 or 15 around Mac management. There's about 10 that are in Central specific. There's a bunch that are RMM specific. There's some about different things. There's monitoring, there's automation. A lot of it is security driven because it was cybersecurity awareness month last month. So my goal personally is to add around 30 scripts a month to the cookbook. We're at 575. I would like to be at 600 by December 1, and then keep growing at that pace. October was an amazing month, and I'm going to keep my team with a pedal to the metal to keep adding to this. I want to give you guys scripts that make sense and that we can use. A lot of the ones we add there come right from the office hours, so please keep asking, keep letting us know what you need, and we'll build from that. So we'll start with the questions now. We're done with the preamble. So let's go through a couple things. First question from Rob. He says, I use the RMM agent on server and workstation. It's a good idea. I have a newly hired infrastructure manager of a client. Are there any probes deployed for the system? Yeah, so the probes concept is on the Central side. So basically in RMM, we don't have the concept of a probe, so you don't have to worry about it. The answer that you want to give is no, we don't have a probe for RMM. The reason why you would want to have a probe in RMM is if you wanted to do some specific discovery deployment deal like that. But again, in RMM, it's not relevant, so it's not a huge deal. So in Central, the probe is used to be used as a patch cache. It's used to discover the network. It's used for a variety of things like that, which once again in RMM is not relevant. So that is why you would not see that. Not a huge deal, just slight differences in architecture on that front. So to your question, no, there's no probe. There is no need for it, and everything is good. If your customer is asking for this, that he's probably familiar with Enable as a company, and he's aware that some of our products do use that. But once again, if for you, it's not going to matter, so you're good there. Next question with David. He says, hello, Mark. Hello. Due to a problem with the update of the new RMM agent, I'm searching for a script validated by you to uninstall completely the agent. They control everything. Such a script, I believe, does exist. We don't put in the cookbook publicly because we don't want people to unnecessarily cause issues in the platform. But that script does exist as far as I know. I don't know if I have a copy handy, but I'm sure I could find one. So what I would recommend is if you want to reach out to me by email, I'll give you my email. I will gladly find a copy if I can and send it to you. There you go. There you go. So yeah, so David, there is such a script. I know we can remove the control component. We have all these things. If I'm not mistaken, in the online help, it does cover all these little bits and pieces, but obviously it's faster if you want to just get a script from us. So yeah, David, just reach out to me directly and I'll help you out. This is not a script that we want to publicize and share for a few reasons, but honestly, realistically, you wouldn't typically need it, so it's not a huge deal. What does that mean? Guides versus, neat, didn't know that. Didn't know they changed the format of the help. Well, that's kind of neat. Okay. Oh, it's because I went to KB. But yeah, so anyways, I believe there is something here. Agent uninstall. It's basically a series of a few commands, but I think I have that documented in a script. Yeah. So nope, that is a Linux agent. That is not what I want. Anyways, like I said, reach out to me. I'll send you what I have. I'll find it if I don't have it handy. So easy. No biggie. All right, next question from Rob again. Charles sent an email about the onboarding bootcamp and what we want covered. I want to know what I'm not doing that I should. That's a fair point. So for those of you that attended Charles's optimization or onboarding bootcamp, sorry, we try to cover a lot of the best practices for doing deployments, right? Like how to configure basic features, how to use the product the right way. If you want to know what you're not doing that you should, it's tricky because there's all these features that basically add up to a whole thing. For example, we have a boot camp just on patching that is 2.5 hours long, and it covers all the best practices around patching. We have one on optimization. The optimization bootcamp actually might be what you're looking for. The optimization bootcamp is one where we go through all the best practices around different modules for RMM. But if we cover some of the very, very high level basics for anyone on the call today, since you're asking, a few of the basic things that you should do is try to templatize. I don't know if it's a word, but whatever. You should try to templatize your deployments as much as you can. And what I mean by that is that if you know for your customers that you want to change the disk threshold to 10%, so basically what you do is you come here, you right click, you say edit, you just put it to 10% and say okay, right? No biggie there. Once you do that, what you then need to do is you want to take, let's say I like this PC, I have everything I need. Like this is a ton of monitoring, configurations, whatever, a ton of scripts that I like, all these things, right? You can right click on one and you can make a template from it. So when you make a template from that device, everything that you have on that device will go in it. You can tweak it, modify it. And then what you want to do is you want to go under your templates, pick new install settings and make a default config per customer or for all the customers. What this will give you the ability to do is make sure when the device shows up, you monitor if BitLocker is on. Maybe you have a self-healing for disk cleanup. Maybe you deploy an AV. Maybe you monitor an AV. Maybe you check for critical events or whatever. And all these things can be part of your default template. A lot of people just leave only the default that comes with RMM, and it's not a bad default, but you're going to be missing on some things, right? So you really want to take the time to use this, and that's something that a lot of people don't. So Rob, to your question, that is one thing that I would definitely look into. Another thing that I mentioned a lot lately is under take control. When you go into your policies, I always recommend to put the request permission flag on. And then even if the user doesn't want it, still put it for like 30 or 20 or 10 seconds even. And it says, if he doesn't say yes, then I'm going to do it. Most customers are going to be completely fine with that. And what that does is it removes that concept of, is he just getting on my machine without me asking? Is he spying on me all the time? What if I'm at home using my computer for stuff at night? Can they get in when they want, right? Like that weird, uneasy, queasy feeling that they get, that removes that. Like you want the customer to feel comfortable, to understand what's happening and to use the tools the right way. And that's your ethical. Obviously, you could uncheck that if you wanted to. You can remove that permission from your text, but using that feature will give a better feeling for the end customer overall. Another thing that is often misunderstood and not used, that is completely free, is a system tray icon. The tray icon with RMM, if I go to settings, I have the ability to say, Okay, globally for, let's say, workstations or servers or whatever, I want to have a link to Google. I want to have a link to request help. And there's some fields that are pre-made. This is covered in the onboarding bootcamp. You can basically come here and say, okay, send a screenshot of the issue to this email. So when they click on this button, it will take a screenshot of any screens they have. In my case, I have 3 right now. On my old setup, at work, I have 5. It will take a screenshot of all of them, make that into a nice little image file, send that over in that mail client so that they don't have to figure out how to take a screenshot of the error message. It does it for them. And you can add as many of those options as you can. You can see here, I can see hyperlink, email, taking a screenshot locally, saving a local file, doing a text little button thing. All these things give you the ability to give some richness to the end user, right? So the more you can do all these, the more you add to this, the better you'll be. And again, this doesn't cost you anything. There's no cost, there's no money involved in this. It will just monitor it, and your trade account will show up when you deploy, and you're happy. And the customer just clicks on it. You can also go here and set the icon to whatever you want as well. So those are some of the features that people don't use that are completely free. Another thing is, if you go to networks here, you have the ability to automatically discover, oh, I think you have to be the customer. So click on the customer. You go in the customer, you will see the network. It will discover the main subnet. If you have multiple subnets, it will not see that unless that device's primary IP is on that subnet, obviously. But when it does, you can also manage a new one and put the information in. So say manage, what did you find? It didn't find anything. But you would say, okay, this is my network. You see the devices on it. You can then export the list. You can take that device, edit it. You can do all kinds of different things on it, and you can see what's happening. So this is giving you all this information that you can use to manage your environment, discover devices, import the agents, and be more efficient. A lot of people don't use that. It's very, very helpful. So if you're not familiar with that, definitely take the time to look at that tab. Generally speaking, that's more or less it. A lot of people also are not aware that we have dramatically improved our Apple device management in the last 6 to 8 months. So we can do a lot more. We can push profiles. So if I look in here, I have a profile library, and I can have the different demo profile, different profiles to manage my Mac devices. And from that, I can then push that to my clients. I can use it against devices and so on. And I can deploy them to whichever devices I want. So this is super easy. I can see this one as one profile that can configure Wi-Fi, that can do different configs, whatever I need it to do. And this is giving you that very much in-depth Mac management that you didn't have before. I would go as far to say that this is almost on par with some of the mid-range to great range feature set competitors to this. And it's actually a really good product now. That's also part of why I brought on board Charles, who's our Mac nerd, because we're doing more and more on Mac, and we're going to continue to do it. And this is a very strategic plan that we're making to focus on Mac. So that is something to do. One last thing that people very, very often don't do: updating your agent. Honestly, a lot of people just don't come here and update them or update settings. Just make sure you update periodically. We don't do it automatically for you. We are working on a plan to allow that, but at the moment it does not. So this is something that you want to take time. So honestly, this is the most of it. If you want to learn what other people do, this Q&A is a great resource for it. Hopefully we get more questions. You guys are slowing down a little bit, which is fine. But the questions that we get here are what drives these webinars, and then this gives you ideas for things you can do better. All right, next one from Luke. Support always asks to turn on logging for the RMM agent or for the backup agent, and then it's an instruction that requires instructing the user and taking time to enable all these steps. And support creates a script to do this. Honestly, not aware of this. I'm going to take a note because I don't like that answer whatsoever. Hold on. I'm going to take a quick note because I don't like this answer and I want to figure out what to do. All right. let me find out about that, Luke. I don't have a good answer yet. I took your name, but I'll find out. So the question is in regards to support requesting logs, which is requiring you guys to spend time, interrupt the users, and all these things. So I don't have a script for it, but I'm going to find out from support what they want us to do. And based on that, I'll try to make a script for you. I don't like that answer one bit. To me, we should be able to do this for you, either by myself with scripts or through the support team. So yeah. All right. So Rob is saying, I've been struggling on how to answer an email I sent. He wants someone to look at his dashboard with him and see what he missed. Honestly, the problem is scalability. Like if I was to do this, there's something if I was to do this, I mean, we have 25,000 plus partners. I think we have 26 almost now. 26,000 partners. If I was to do this with everybody, there's just no way I would be able to do anything else than this. And that applies to my team. I have a team of about 5 or 6 people total at this point, and we're growing slowly. So this is not something that, scalability wise, I can afford to do right this second. Now, I will definitely take a note and see what we can do to be better at it and offer better reviews. I know we are working on professional services, which might offset some of your issue. But as of today, it is not something that I can afford to do. So yeah, very, very fair point, but sadly something that I just can't afford to do for everyone. So this is a little bit tricky. I do travel a ton, which allows me to see partners when I'm traveling, but definitely there's something that we can do better. I will. In your case, Rob, what I'll do is I'll reach out to you directly, then let's see what we can do to make this better. Take a quick note, copy your email. But yeah, like I said, the concern is more scalability. But I'll see what I can do if I can carve some time a little bit. So next question is from David. I know Charles already answered it in the chat, but I'll answer it for everybody. David is asking, do we know how we can export all the software config of the agent? I can see them, but I can export them with full information for each. Thanks in advance. If we go into the, where is it again? I always forget. I think it's tracking. Yeah, I think it is. So when I'm here, if I go to reports and I do client inventory report, this should give you what you're asking for, David. So if I do client inventory, let's say all clients, doesn't matter. This will give you absolutely everything about the machine. So this is basically the asset details. Now, this is not the software, so we're going to try again. I know the XML or SQL data dump, I think the XML one will give you more what you're looking for, but a software license check might work. How does that one work? Yeah, that works. So this one for the client will show you how many of each software is installed. It doesn't show you the machine. Again, that's not ideal. But I know the XML data dump will give you absolutely everything. This is going to take a little bit because that's a lot of data, but it gives you an XML file of everything to do with that customer, every software, basically everything that's in this. So then you can put that into Excel, do some queries, play with it. Alternatively, you can also just come here and go to SQL data dump. We are redoing our reporting. We're calling it analytics. There's going to be a lot more flexibility in it. I've seen some early alphas and our early dev builds of it. It's actually really, really good. So we're going to keep working towards that. But as of right now, what I'm showing you is all I can give you. Hopefully that helps. You can export from the reporting. Now, if you don't know where that is, you go right here to the asset reports and you use these. We actually show this in the, I think it's in the onboarding bootcamp, because they are super useful and very, very overlooked because people just don't know they're there. So I would definitely recommend you use those. All right, next one is there an agent auto update for Mac? So when I go into agent auto update settings, come on, buddy. There it is. I can come here and auto update those. So you do have the ability to do it from here. So just like Windows, you have the ability to auto update. I think that was added fairly recently, so that might be why you're not aware of this. But this will allow you to update your agent to the latest GA build, or in this case, yeah, there's no RC that's public for this. So this gives you the ability to auto update your agents as needed, which I actually probably should do. Please update and save. And that's it. So that would be allowing you to update your Mac. So good question. I do know if you update the Mac OS to Big Sur or to the latest build, sometimes the permission gets messed up is because it's a security thing in Apple. We're gonna have to live with it for a while. A lot of products are having issues with it because the way that they change permission is just making things very, very difficult. So definitely. Someone's asking if I have anything to share about the RMM automation roadmap. That's Dwayne. Yes and no. We do have the automation pack, the partner advisory group. So if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to show it at the end of the webinar, but I'll just bring it up right now because you're asking. There, the partner advisory groups. If you're interested, if you're not already in my list, I have a list that I keep for people that are invited to this because it's an invite only thing, but I invite everybody who wants to be. I don't discriminate. Just let me know. I'll add you if you're not already on it. This is where we go through roadmaps of RMM and automation specifically. We go through feedback sessions with ton of polls. We do an executive update at the beginning. We go through what's new, what you can use better, and what we've changed. So if you're not familiar with that, I definitely recommend you put PAG in the questions, and I'll add you to my list if you're not already in it. Next one from Isaac. What is considered best practice when running patch management approvals on Friday prior to the Saturday-Sunday scheduled patch window? Yeah, so personally on patch, it's a tricky thing, Isaac. You can simply come in here and manually approve all the patches on Friday, right? Which is what I'm guessing you're doing. Come here, select everything, and because I'm lazy, I'm going to shift select. You can see they're all blue, not this blue, the background blue is blue. And then I see proceed, approve, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you schedule the install on a Saturday or Sunday, the problem that we see, I mean, on servers, not a big deal. On workstation, though, it's going to have very mixed results. And the reason for it is that your devices are going to be requiring, they're going to be requiring things like, to be online and to be woken up or something like that. And if you're anything like me, my laptop is going to be in my bag turned off for sleeping on the weekend, and it will not get updated. So that's a huge problem for patching. So typically, as far as approving patch on Friday, I have no issues with it. I think that's a good idea. However, when you configure your patching, what I typically recommend is to, first of all, detect on the DSC schedule if you're not already doing that. Super important. If you do scheduled, it will only run at that time, which means that the machine is not online at 9 a.m., it will not detect ever, and then patching will not work. So super important, put DSC. Honestly, the feature is there. So a lot of people ask me, like, why would you bother to put it here then? Because some people want it. We've had people over the years, again, 25,000 plus clients, 26,000 almost now. And with all these different people with different needs, different sizes and shapes and everything else in between, right? There's different needs. Some people say, like, I need to do manual scan only because I can't afford any cycles on these kind of devices, or I want to schedule it and the device is always online. Whatever the case is, those happen. They're edge cases. I have, a bunch of people on this, and I would wonder that maybe one would need anything else in DSC out of the whole group, maybe two. So just be mindful. The next thing I was going to go to is pick your schedule install. Like I said, it will run at this time and this time only because that's how it's scheduled, unless you say run your install ASAP if you miss it. A lot of people are scared that the user is going to freak out when you do that. They won't, because patch install is not disruptive. Patch reboot obviously is. So what I tell people typically is do the install, just don't do the reboot after you miss. Now, if you need to install and you install it at 11:30 on, let's say, Saturday, like you said, not a big deal. Do the reboot, have fun, whatever. But if you miss your schedule because you're not online on Saturday at 11:30, because I don't know if I work every Saturday at 11:30, well, then the Monday when the device comes online, it will install the patches, but it will not reboot. So it's a partial kind of install, not installed state. And then what you can do is you can put a script that will monitor, is the device been online for more than X days? Does it need a reboot? Does it need, whatever the case is? And based on that, then start slowly bug the user until he does reboot. One best practice around patching is that I recommend to reboot the machine at least once a week, if not more. And the reason is to avoid all the little Windows gremlins that we see in the machine. So that's super important. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah. And by the way, no, I'm not sick. I just got tested yesterday. It's just a bad cold. It happens. So yeah, so that is it. That's your question. Hopefully that answers, Isaac. If you need anything else, just let me know in the questions. Next question is from Nial, and I'm sure I'm butchering your name, buddy. I'm sorry. All right, thanks, Isaac. Niall, hi, I would like to reboot several servers at the same time with one click, but I have to right-click reboot later on each server, set the time, and enter the password and repeat and repeat and repeat. Is there a way to grab 10 servers and reboot at the time specified? Honestly, the best way is to do it through a script. You just say add a task to multiple device, right? So I say add a task, which would be the schedule reboot, and then would be reboot like that. And then what you do is go next, and oh wait, where's my selection? Oh, right here. Right click, task, add on the client, and then see reboot next, only on servers, and say next, next, next. This will apply to everybody, so be careful with that. But that would be one way to do it. Now, if you select multiple like this and you right click, you could also do reboot like this. This should also work. So if I take my demo site and I pick some random devices so I don't break anything, so I'm gonna go here. Come on, buddy. Okay, we'll take these guys, take these four, right click, reboot later. See, I can select these as well. So that's always an option. You'll see here, because they're selected, yes, it looks kludgy, I know, is the control that we use for display. It's just weird. But because I selected them with shift, you can see the highlighted, the background is blue. The text is blue. I don't care for the text, but the background became blue, just like I selected them, and now I can schedule on all four at once. So that's also a good option. Personally, I prefer to schedule through scripting because that's my preferred. But if you want to do it like that, that's absolutely an option. I can just select everybody I want, right click, reboot later. You can see it says like, do you want to do this? No, I missed one. Sorry, this one I don't want to. Schedule, boom, done. Next question I get, no problem. Next question I got is there a script to monitor for pending reboots on the dashboard? Let me see. Pending reboot overview and pop-up. Yeah, so actually that was built by a partner. I did not build this, but this was built by a partner last year. This one will check, hold on, what does it do? Let's take a look. Let's open it together. I know very well a lot of the scripts in the cookbook. To be fair, I can't know all 570 of them, but I do know a lot of them very well because I've looked at every single one of them. But I'm going to quickly take a look at this guy. So what this one does is it checks how long has it been since you rebooted, and then this installs the pending reboot test. Yeah, okay, so that does work. So basically this one is checking for pending reboot for any reason, file changes, software install, or updates, like this one here, updates. So then it tells you, do you need to update? And then if it does, it fails a policy, which can then trigger a reboot. I think that's what you're looking for. That's actually the one. So what I'm gonna do to make it easy for you, I'll put in the chat. There we go. And I'll put it in your question so that everybody can use that. There we go. So yeah, thank you very, very much, Dwayne. Very, very good question. Next question is from Luke. Many laptops are offline for long periods of time and miss patches, updates, etc. Is there a way to get an alert when a laptop comes back online? Hold on, I'm thinking. The problem I have is I can do a script, a monitoring very easily to say what is your uptime and just do a pop-up if it's less than X. But that doesn't catch when the machine went to sleep for a week or two because the guy was on vacation and just closed his lid. Because I can go here, and I think it's called uptime. Yeah, like that. So if I do computer uptime, like my machine has been up for how long? Since 10/28, so about a week. Total days is 5, yeah, almost a week, 6 days. But realistically, I turned it off last night, but I put it to sleep, right? So that wouldn't work. So what we need is a way to know when were you last active. So I guess the only way is if you know the machines are offline for a long time would be to add that monitoring check on those devices, and the monitoring check would simply return fail, just literally just say fail. And then you would have to remove it when the device comes back online. I think I know what you're getting at with this, Luke, but what I typically recommend to people is not to manage this way, is to basically you're going to have devices going to be offline for a long time. It happens. What I typically recommend is to come here. Where does we do this again? I think it's under general settings. I never remember. No, it's in the customer. Hold on. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's been a long morning. Where do I do that? darn it. There's a view that will show us and can also auto clean devices. And that's what I'm looking for. I think it's that one. Yeah, it is. Agent removal. So basically, say inactive workstation. So delete the workstation if they're not active after X amount of days. So I can say here, delete it after, let's say 180, so 6 months, or even 365, really like a year. But say, you know what, email me 180 days before deletion. So after 6 months, send me a warning or whatever. Like this, warn me like a long time before, and then then do the cleanup. Personally, I don't like that feature because it's a little too aggressive. But that's a very good question, though. I don't have a good answer. I don't like that. Because personally, when devices just go offline, I prefer to just leave them there, auto clean up with that method I just showed if that's what you want. But when they come back online, if they're through they go through the washing machine and they get patched and everything else properly, this should not be really an issue. When they come back online, as long as you set up patching to say patch next time the device is online, they'll get their patches and they'll go through everything they need. So that should be really a non-issue. So yeah, so typically I would not really recommend it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. If you have a little follow-up or a little more details on what you're looking for, I'll see what I can do to answer better. But yeah, I think I would recommend that for now. Next question from Rob. I have received approval to restart computers at 1 a.m. I scheduled a reboot at 1 a.m. for the PCs that require it. I discovered that staff didn't have their computer up, so they restarted. Didn't have the computer up, restarted after. Oh yeah, okay. So basically, your customer says you can reboot my laptops at 1 a.m., but they're never online at 1 a.m., so it doesn't work, right? So when you run a task to say reboot at 1 a.m., right? So if I come here, or like we said earlier, reboot later at 1 a.m., whatever, it will do it at that time. So what you have the option to do when I say reboot here every Wednesday at 1 a.m., right? So I say here, and let's say Saturday, like you said, I think it was, yeah, Saturday or whatever day, doesn't matter, at 1 a.m., like that on Saturday. You also have the option to say, if you miss your window, do it the next time. So if they're not online at 1 a.m., when they come in the morning, it would force reboot it. Honestly, this is something I see every day. I've traveled a lot again in the last couple of months, and I've seen a lot of partners one-on-one, sat down with them as much as I could to learn and work with them. And that's a very common thing. What I always tell people is make your contracts make sense. You want to show your customers the risk of not rebooting, and you want to show them the actual data that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I'll show you guys this slide. This is a slide that I take from the Patch Bootcamp. It is the same in the Uncentral and RMM. I just had the Uncentral one handy, so I'm going to use that one, but it's the same slide, doesn't matter. This guy. What I tell partners that have issues with their customers rebooting is say, look at this slide. 43% of the attacks that we see are targeting SMBs. You're likely an SMB, not you, but your customer. 60% of attacks are preventable by a patch. That means more than half the time you could have prevented this. And then the other one is that it used to be 10 years ago, a decade ago, that you add about 45 days before a patch was weaponized. Now you're looking at 15. So if you reboot your machine at 1 a.m. and the machine is not online, well, then you're not getting patched properly. A lot of people think that, oh, the patch is installed, whatever, haha. No, as long as you don't reboot, the patch is not properly installed. If you have an update that says I need to restart, so do I have any on my machine? I can show you guys. Check for updates, like that. But yeah, so if you have updates that are pending a reboot, I think I have some right now. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys. As long as it shows pending reboot, it's not rebooted. It is not technically considered secure. So actually, Mike is just complaining. But if I do have an update that is needing of a reboot and you don't do it, the machine is not secure. So show these metrics to your customers, show this data to the customer, and explain why patching is so important. The biggest issue with rebooting is that what I typically recommend, if the customer says, no, screw you, we're going to do it at 1 a.m., and otherwise the user has to decide, that's when you go into the cookbook and you look. There's a few different options to do scripts that will do pop-ups. It's like, hey, you have not rebooted in a week, and you please reboot. the next day, hey, you've not rebooted in a week, and you reboot, and bug them once or twice a day until they do it. And by doing that, you're going to ensure at some point they're going to get fed up and do it. And then that way you will have better results, right? So that's super important. The better you do at your reboot, and the better it'll be. So yeah. All right. By the way, Rob, I see Charles has just answered something for you regarding the cleanup. Just don't worry about it. Just ignore that. I'll reach out to you by email after this to your question. Next question, was from Luke. It was a follow-up to his previous question. So it says, the reason that I need to manually do something on that laptop, and I can only do it when it's online, is that they work on weird hours. So alert me, and then I can do the changes. In that case, yes, what you do is you do a check that will basically say, when was the last time I was run? Oh, it was this time. Cool. Go failed. The next time it goes okay. The next time it goes failed, and it flips over back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you would get notified whenever they go online. It's not ideal, but I've done that before. If you look into the cookbook, there's an example using the registry to trigger based on a time to say, oh, I have not done this action in the last hour, then do it fail, and just flips over back and forth, back and forth. And by doing that, you'll get your failed state, which will warn you that the device is back online. So yeah, you can absolutely do it that way. Thank you. Good question. Let me see what else we have. All right, next question. I added a Windows service check for all devices for the Sentinel agent. Some of the computers had RMM agent installed before Sentinel-1. Therefore, the PC does not have S1 EDR check. How can I check and fix those that don't have that check? So to add that, you would basically just have to have a template and apply it. So what you can do is when you make a template, say template, I say add a workstation monitor. I'm assuming you're talking about workstation. I'll say S1, and then you add a 24/7 Windows service, and I'll just say probably Sentinel-1. And yes, I have a lot of stuff installed, I know. I'll just add that, let's say, just like that. Now, what you can do is when I come here and I say apply template, and I'll pick my S1, where is it? Sentinel-1, let's say, like that. I can say replace existing or add new checks and replace them if they already are there to prevent duplicates. So if you apply it like that to your customer for servers or workstation or whichever one, it will apply it, but it will not duplicate it. So you can reapply to all the devices and it will do it. Again, you're assuming that you have S1 everywhere, which is what you should. Next one is how do I check for SSL expiry? So if you want to check for certificate expiry, that's actually a really good thing that you can do for your customer. It doesn't really cost you anything. What I'm going to do is say SSL. There it is, SSL expiry check. So this check is made to look if the certificate will expire in the next 30 days. And if it does, it will do a pop-up and warn you. Okay, just like that. And it basically goes through a little script here. That's fine, doesn't matter. But it says here, if the script for that site. So what you do is as an input, you say how many days you want it to be. And it checks on the server for any SSLs expiring on that server. So when your customer has a few different web servers, you can add that and it will warn you if that is about to expire on those servers. So that's a super good way to do it. So yeah. Next one is what is the most efficient and effective way to deny Windows 11 updates from installing? Honestly, it is to deny the update. There's no magical way. Now, keep in mind, Microsoft has changed how they've done Windows 11 updating. They have a pop-up on the machine under the patching, so the customer never goes there. As of right now, you would not get a pop-up. At some point, they will likely do what they did for Windows 10, and they will have a pop-up in the desktop like, "You're eligible. Do you want to update now?" And it will start pushing the people who are like, okay, sure, click. And if they have admin rights, it'll do it. So just be very careful. Otherwise, you can come here, look for the update. I don't remember the specific KB, I'm going to be completely honest. But you find the KB, you right-click, not right-click, you do, you pick it, you do proceed, and you say ignore. By doing ignore, it will basically, it's like decline. It will not do it. And that will just take care of that. So that is something to keep in mind as this is going to happen more and more in the future.